Lack of creativity in the Pro League meta kills it for me. I've been watching for 2 years, and about a month ago I stopped because it's boring. Every team does the same thing. I think every single Pro League team agrees, but trust me, we want the game to change. We want the game to feel different. But right now, I mean, think about it. If you're playing for $1 million, why the fuck would you not play Wamai, Jaeger, Goyo, Maestro, and Smoke every single round? Because it's the strongest lineup you can play on every single bomb set, pretty much. So the issue is that the developers are not doing enough to make the meta change, and they're way too slow at realizing why the meta is a certain way. If you remove the shield from Wamai and Smoke, the meta would change instantly. It's literally that simple. If you took the shield from Smoke and Wamai, think about it. And from Valkyrie. Sorry, and from Valkyrie. If you want to replace those shields, you need to play Ella, Alibi, and Frost. Or like Warden, right? Obviously, you can still play Goyo, but you can just ban Goyo and then you're forced into these really niche operators that you don't typically see. So just by removing the shields from these 3 operators, you're massively changing the shield meta. Because the highest picked operators that bring shields are, funny enough, Wamai, Smoke, and Valkyrie. Yes, you heard that right. People in Pro League pick shield on Valkyrie as much as they pick C4 nowadays. And if those operators are banned or lost their shield, you would need to go to Warden, because Warden has a shield. You would need to go to Alibi, because Alibi has a shield. And that directly changes the meta, because they have different gadgets. If you don't pick Wamai anymore, that means you don't need to ADS clear as much. It means that you can't protect the shields, which means shields are less good to be played. Or if you're not playing Wamai, you gotta pick the shield that enables the Wamai outside of having Wamai itself. And since you always play Smoke, and you almost always play Valkyrie, and you can always pick Wamai, high pick rate operators in professional play losing shields would mean that you need to highly pick something else. And again, they have different gadgets, right? It changes everything. Because Wamai and Smoke, it's like a passive gadget that they have shields. And that's why you can always pick them. You can always pick Smoke. Shotgun, great secondary, shield, deny gadget. There's not a single map and a single bomb site where Smoke is not one of the best top 5 defenders, if not the best defender in the entire game. And I think that's fine. I think that it's fine that you have like a stable, because the reason why Smoke is so good is the shotgun. You need to change the map. We're not playing CSGO. We have dynamic gameplay. That makes sense. But Valkyrie and Wamai, them having a secondary shield doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. Neither of a Smoke, of course, but... Will Tachanka become meta? I think Tachanka is a pretty average operator when you look at him like alone. Like, oh, we're playing ranked. Should I play Jaeger? Should I play Tachanka? You're probably not gonna have that much fun with Tachanka. Like, right? If you're playing Pro League, however, on bank basement defense, and you play Tachanka, you're probably gonna win, right? There are certain bomb sites, and trust me, when people find out certain Tachanka angles in Pro League, because think about it, you can basically on coastline make a hole in the ceiling of pink bar, and you bounce it up to the floor, and it bounces into pool table, and you make a hole in the pool table floor, and it'll go into default plant on blue. You can do some crazy fucking shit with Tachanka. Like, because you can change the map. It's not like CSGO. You can do infinite angles with Tachanka, right? But Tachanka, in a professional aspect, fucking broken. Literally game breaking. Like, as we already saw on Twitter, you can go on Clubhouse Office Hatch, and you can Molotov the server breach. Because you shoot it up through the hatch, and it curves, and it lands where you thermite. So you can't thermite the wall ever, because you can stall for 50 seconds, right? Obviously, you can still hit Banet, and you can still ace it, etc. You can still kind of maverick it if you move away. But yeah, it's pretty broken. But in ranked, I wouldn't be really worried about Tachanka. His gun is average. I actually think that people might play his 9x19 more than the DP27, because fire rate in this game is so utterly important, because one-shot headshot is a thing, and having less than 600 fire rate, it feels terrible, because people can literally peek between your bullets because of movement speed versus fire rate, right? Good evening, Farrell. So I don't think Tachanka as an operator is that broken. As a standalone operator, and it's the same with Goyo. Goyo is not broken at all. Goyo is pretty average, but Goyo combined with Jaeger, Wamai, and 2 more shields, right? That's pretty fucking strong. It's really fucking strong. But that's the issue with Ubisoft, is that when you make an operator like Melusi, she's not that strong. She's very oppressive to play against, yes. and she's extremely annoying. But on a fundamental, like, competitive aspect, she's not that broken. She's just really frustrating, right? But she has 3 Banshees, which you arguably to nade or soft breach. And then you have 2 Goyo Shields, 2 Maestro Camps, Smoke Shield, and Omai Shield. Oh, and they have Jaeger and Omai magnets to cover those. Which means that they have 3, 2, 7, 8. They have 8 things that you need to destroy. On average, you play 2 nades and Ash. That's 4. If you're really crazy, you'll play 6 deny gadgets, and that's not assuming that you need to burn every single Omai magnet and every single ADS, and nobody gets spawn peaked, and everybody understands what to do, and nobody stacks or misses their gadget. And even if you do all that perfectly, there is still one of these gadgets left on the map. That's where the issue is. It's when you combine them in layers. That's when the game gets very flawed very quickly. I think the most recent thing is that they made this post here, and this is like a nightmare for me as a competitive player, and it's a nightmare for me because the people in charge, they don't understand the game. So for the people that don't know what this is, they said the community has expressed a desire to be able to equip every single scope, basically, right? 1x scope. I've been saying this since the change was made, and everyone agreed. I made a poll. They got like 40,000 votes, I think, on Twitter. And it was like 97% agreed that every single weapon should have every single 1x scope. Because it's not a balancing issue. It's a preference issue, right? You want to have accessibility, just like you want to be able to change your scope color, because people, they perceive colors differently. And then they basically said, from our point of view, a few elements of these target optics only affect the player's preference, right? So if you really keep track of this, only affects the player's preference, but they have no direct impact on the operator's performance, right? However, there are different shapes and housings of these target optics, and to a certain extent, they affect balancing. The space that the optics take up on the screen can sometimes even help the weapon perform better. They have no direct impact on the operator's performance, sometimes even help the weapon perform better. Okay? It's a contradiction. Basically, they say that they have no direct impact, but sometimes even help the weapon perform better, right? So it's kind of like, okay, do they help? Do they not help? Which one is it? I don't know. To be fair, they did say that a few elements, so it's not like a direct, like the scope and not the scope. It's more like, as they say, the housing in this case, and shape. To me, it's all about preference. Like, some people like certain scopes, like some people like the triangle. I don't like the triangle, I'll tell you why. Because the triangle is a triangle, and the holo is a circle with a dot, right? The housing and the housing. When you shoot, you would assume that your bullet goes in the center. Now, if I could draw correctly, this would be the center of the scope, which clearly a little bit loop-sided, because I can't draw very well. But when you shoot with the holo, the bullet goes in the middle. When you shoot at the triangle, the bullet goes at the top. Because the triangle is down on the scope, and you're basically shooting the tip of the triangle rather than the center. And my brain, because I'm a human with low IQ, my brain doesn't understand this concept. My brain thinks that I shoot in the center of the triangle. But if I put the center of the triangle on the enemy's head, I shoot above him. Because the tip is where the bullet goes. So I miss. And I die, because my brain is low. A low IQ, right? So that's why I like playing the holo more, because it goes in the center. Where the dot is, my bullet goes. Very obvious. That is why I want to play the holo scope. Because my brain is stupid. And they're saying in here that it has no direct impact on performance, and that it is, I mean, it should be just purely preference, right? And then they say down here that we also want operators to feel special by making them stand out for something unique. Our idea is to give players a reason to choose one operator over the other. And that's when I say, the gadget, right? Why do I play Smoke over Alibi? The gadget, right? The weapon, the movement speed, the fucking lore if I'm some sort of role player. Not the fucking scope on the weapon. That's like tertiary. You have primary gadget, secondary weapon, tertiary is like, what scope do I have? And if, no, it's not. Tertiary, what secondary gadgets do I have? Do I have a C4, shield, whatever? It's like the fourth preference. What scope does my operator have? Oh, Pulse has normal holo. Castle has the Cybertruck holo. I want to play Pulse. But you have a gadget. Pulse can wallhack, Castle has castle barricades. Is that not the reasoning as to why we pick operators? It's coming down to the scopes? That is a preference? Because remember, this is not a discussion about 1.5x and zoom scope, right? It's about the 1.0. It has no balancing tool. It is just a different visual of the same scope that does the same thing. Because keep in mind, we're not talking about ACOGs or no ACOGs. We're talking about holo, reflex, red dot, iron sight. And then the new holo, the vortex holo, and the new red dot, and all that shit, right? Basically, whoever wrote this was high on crack cocaine, didn't attend school, and doesn't have a brain that consists of brain cells. It's just a brain. It doesn't have anything inside of it, right? Basically, this person is not present in the mind. That's who wrote this, right? That's the people that work on our game by the looks of it. Unless there is a chance that someone who doesn't work on this game wrote this, but let's assume that it was in fact the developers that wrote this. And it's very concerning. It's very, very... It could be an intern, that's true. It could be an intern. Like, this is really concerning. Basically, the reason why the game is failing can pretty much be nailed down to this entire text. They have no idea what they're talking about. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. I dropped out of school, but I understand this. That's just a lot. I play the game. That's all I need. If we take this logic and we apply it to the game, if we look at the best operators, right? Jaeger here, let's take a picture of this. It's easier to draw on, right? Who is the quote-unquote most present operator in the entire game? Jaeger. What does Jaeger have? He has the best scope in the entire game. He has the holoscope, right? According to Ubisoft's logic, Jaeger should not have this holoscope because Jaeger is a very, very strong operator. He should lose the holoscope and get the Cybertruck holoscope, right? Because it's worse. It's less preferred. Okay, Melusi. What scope does she have? Oh, that's funny. She has the holoscope. Valkyrie, what scope does she have? She has the holo. None of these operators should have the holo according to Ubisoft because it's a balancing tool. So if these operators are all this strong, they should lose their scopes and get worse scopes, right? That's how we balance them. At least Jaeger has the nice red dot. No, but Jaeger guys, you're not listening. Jaeger can't have good scopes because Jaeger's a good operator. So Jaeger's gonna lose the red dot. And you're basically forced into the cyber or the reflex. That's the only two scopes you can play now. Or iron sight. Because Jaeger's a very good operator. So you're gonna lose all the good scopes. You basically have to play iron sight at this point because Jaeger's too good. And then Jaeger's pick rate goes all the way down here. So he's here. And now Ubisoft is like, we did it. We finally figured out how to make Jaeger a balanced operator. And then they clap. They pop the champagne and go, whoa, it took us 5 years. All it took was to remove every single fun feature in the game. All it took was to take every single decision, every possibility, every single thing that was fun about the game out of it. And then we have a balanced operator where he should be. But in reality, what happened is that people stopped playing him because they don't want to play Cybertruck Holo and Reflex Scope. And the people that do play Cybertruck Holo and Reflex Scope are fucking idiots that suck at the game. And they suck, so therefore his win rate goes down. And he gets less picked because of the good players stop picking him. Because he has no good scopes. But they don't get that. All they see is this fucking number game. Right? That's all they see. Because they don't play the game. And that's kind of where the problem is. Like, is anyone surprised Melusi is all the way up there? I'm not. Most impressive operator since Lion came out. Like, it's pretty obvious, right? Which, it's funny because this page is called accessibility. And you can, like, choose your optic opacity and your color and shit. But in the exact same patch that this accessibility feature came out, we have been removing scopes and the decision and comfortability of the 1x scopes in the same patch. So we're removing accessibility and adding it elsewhere, because we can't have both things. We can't both have good scopes and change the color of our crosshair. We can only choose one. Now, I personally am not colorblind, so I would prefer to have my red crosshair with holo scopes, but most people would probably want both. And if not, they probably want the color change because it's pretty fucking cool, right? But it's like, we really have to sacrifice and choose our battles with every single turn we get in this game. And that is basically the issue. That is basically the problem. So yeah. Bottom line is, it's tough. It's very tough.